Roman Abramovich, a Jewish orphan, rose to become one of the most powerful men in the world. He was not defeated by tactical mistakes or a failed football transfer, but by forces far beyond his control. This is not only a sports story, but a dramatic journey where football, politics, and money collide in a global power game. Imagine a scene in Istanbul, inside a quiet room overlooking the Bosphorus. Journalist Nick Purewal waits for one of Russia's most mysterious businessmen. He's thousands of miles away from Stamford Bridge, yet suddenly the door opens. Roman Abramovich walks in with a slight smile and a handshake. In front of Purewal stands the man who turned Chelsea into a symbol of victory and a modern European powerhouse. And for the very first time, Abramovich was ready to break his silence. For a reporter used to writing about tactics and transfers, this was something completely different. It was no longer about formations or substitutes, but about geopolitics in Eastern Europe, sanctions, and billions of dollars from oligarchs. It felt more like a Jean le Carré spy novel than a typical sports story. Purewal admitted he was fortunate to have started his career in current affairs because you cannot fully understand football without knowing politics and business. The outcome of these extraordinary meetings became the book Sanctioned, the inside story of the sale of Chelsea FC. It tells the full detail of the chaotic months of 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine, Abramovich was sanctioned, and Chelsea was forced to complete a complex sale in only 3 months. Normally, deals of such scale take up to a year. Purewal called it a phenomenal achievement. Surprisingly, Abramovich was not passionate about football from childhood. His love for the game exploded in April 2003 when he sat at Old Trafford to watch Manchester United play Real Madrid in the Champions League quarterfinal. That was the night Ronaldo, the Brazilian phenomenon, scored a hat-trick. Beckham struck a goal of pride, and the entire stadium stood to applaud the opponents. Abramovich later admitted that it was the first time in his life he allowed his heart to drive a business decision. At 36, he already had everything and was even considering retirement. But after super agent Pini Zahavi persuaded him to watch that fateful match, everything changed. On the flight back to Moscow, he could not sleep from excitement, and he gave the order, "We will buy a football club." Just 2 months later, Chelsea belonged to him. For nearly 20 years, Abramovich rarely spoke in public. He let actions and investments speak louder than words. He believed in delegation and avoided micromanaging. Once he appointed someone, he gave them full control, and if mistakes were made, he never blamed them. That style of leadership made Chelsea a modern football empire and also allowed the club to lead in social campaigns, such as Say No to Anti-Semitism, where even offenders were sent to Auschwitz for education. Behind the calm exterior was a burning passion. Whenever he recalled that Old Trafford night, his eyes lit up. That was the moment he truly fell in love with football. From then on, Chelsea became his pride and part of his life. But cracks started to appear long before the war. In 2018, after the incident involving former Russian spy Sergei Skripal, relations between Britain and Russia collapsed. Abramovich lost his residency rights in London. The grand stadium project worth billions was suspended. He bitterly confessed, "Why should I invest in a place where I am no longer welcome?" When Russia moved into Ukraine on February 24, 2022, the Chelsea dream ended. Just days later, Abramovich gave the order to draft a statement. Sell the entire club. All the proceeds will go to the victims of the war. At the same time, he was acting as a mediator in peace talks between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul. In one trip to Kiev, he was even reported to have been poisoned, temporarily losing his sight and suffering peeling skin. Despite the doctor's warnings, he continued negotiations the next morning as if nothing had happened. The British government gave a strict deadline of May 31st. If the sale was not completed, Chelsea would face bankruptcy. The pressure was immense, and the club even ran out of cash. There was a point when players were ready to pool money to pay for a flight to an FA Cup match, but were told it could be illegal. This shows just how close Chelsea came to collapse. Eventually, Todd Boehly's consortium won the bidding war, but even then, the story did not end. £2.5 billion from the sale remains frozen. Abramovich wanted to use it to establish a humanitarian foundation led by Mike Penrose, former director of UNICEF UK, to support not only people in Ukraine, but also refugees across Europe and in Britain. The government insisted that the funds must only be used inside Ukraine. That has been the deadlock for 3 years and counting. Penrose argued that thousands of refugee children studying A-levels and preparing for university in Britain would be abandoned if the money stayed restricted. Abramovich even agreed to let the government have full oversight, but his proposal was still rejected. The money remains untouched. 3 years later, the book Sanctioned stands as a panoramic view. It is not only about football, but about the intersection of global politics, money, and sport. Roman Abramovich rose from being an orphan to one of the most powerful figures in the world, and he was finally defeated not by tactics or failed transfers, but by forces beyond his control. The Chelsea dream did not end on the pitch. It ended on the brutal chessboard of geopolitics. This is the untold story of the most dramatic sale in modern football history. So what do you think? Was Abramovich a victim of politics or simply another pawn in the game of global power? Leave your comment below and do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you will not miss the hottest football stories, behind-the-scenes secrets, and transfer dramas that shake the world. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.